I knew it! Captain America, fuck! What's up, y'all? It's your boy Seth Grimes, back with another review. This time we're reviewing episode 1 of She-Hulk, Attorney at Law. I literally just got done watching it, and I wanted to jump in and give my thoughts. Now, I don't think I'm going to do this for every single episode. If they're really good, maybe I will. But I'll certainly jump in and do a recap at the end of the series after all the episodes have dropped. But I thought that the main actress was phenomenal. I thought she did such a good job. I thought she was funny. I thought she was smart. I took her as credible right off the bat. Like, I accepted her. And sometimes it's hard, like, you know, with the MCU being around for so long, sometimes you kind of give the stink eye to people to a certain extent. And you're just like, I'm not sure if I'm ready to accept the new kid yet, you know, but new kid fits in my book. Hulk was as big a part of this first episode as Jennifer Walters was. And, you know, I'm not a huge Mark Ruffalo fan. I got to be honest with you. And, like, I don't like the way he plays the Hulk. I don't like what they've done with the Hulk. I don't like the smart Hulk character. I don't like any of that shit. But he plays well off of the She-Hulk, the Jennifer Walters character. And, you know, it doesn't get into the lawyerly to stuff too much. It kind of starts in the courtroom. She's got this funny little joke about, like, needing to explain the whole superhero side of it to get you to follow along to the courtroom show, basically, to the courtroom drama, the lawyer show. And then at the end, they come back to the courtroom, and then she kind of reiterated, like, lawyer show. And I think they're trying to drive that home in a smart-assy tone. It's very tongue-in-cheek, the whole show. You know, there's lots of jokes, lots of self-referential poking fun of, you know, there was the scene at the very beginning where she's hypothesizing about Captain America's virginity, which is kind of cringe. It was cringe when I first saw the scene and then heard about it. And this is what stirred up a lot of that, like, MCU man-hater, blah, 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 blah stuff, too. It was people talking about this scene and, like, just, I don't get it. I thought it was a little cringe, but it was, like, whatever, but it played off better in the show than it did just the scene by itself or what everybody made it out to be. And they paid it off at the end. She's drunk as fuck, and spoilers, by the way. She's drunk as fuck, and she's continuing on about Captain America's virginity, and then Hulk says that he fucked. I think he was talking about Peggy, but he basically says he fucked some chick, back in the 40s or whatever. And then she was like, fuck yeah. She's talking about, like, it's a shame how his, like, perfect ass, and, like, it was pretty risque for Disney Plus, I should say. You know, it just might be a parent thing, but I'm uncomfortable watching, like, anything sex related with my kids, you know? So it was a funny joke. I like that they paid it off at the end, you know? It was more cringe, but with the ending payoff and the end credit scene, totally worth it. Cause Captain America fucks, you know? Fuck yeah, Captain America fucks. Fucks like Captain America, god damn it. Thank you for your service, sir. There's been a lot of talk on the internets about She-Hulk as far as, like, being another MCU product, and a lot of feminism and that sort of thing, and just the man-hating and the wokeness and the pushing of an agenda. And really, like, there's a lot of pushback against that. There's a lot of female leads now in the MCU. A lot of female characters that are stronger, faster, more powerful than a lot of the male characters, and stealing a lot of the spotlight, even in like the new Thor movie, for example. You know, these are the reasons why the internet is talking about this sort of thing. And then Miss Marvel just happened on Disney Plus, which I liked, by the way. I actually really liked. I like Kamala Khan. I just vibe with her as a character. I think she's dope. She's a nerd like me and like you if you're watching this. I was looking for a lot of that. Even Grace Randolph, somebody that's very much known to be overly woke. You know, she needs to meet her quota of gay characters and all of that. Super feminist. Even she came out and said that she thought that this was too feminist. Now, granted, she watched the first 4 episodes. I've only seen the first 1. So take that with a grain of salt, because they might dive into that and probably will lean into that a little bit more. But just going off the first episode, I gotta say, fuck all the hype around it. This was enjoyable. I actually liked this. And maybe I'm an easy guy to please. Maybe the internet just likes to read into things too much and create their own agenda. You know, just as much as there's a woke agenda, there's an anti-woke agenda, right? And there's so many YouTubers that like build their reputation on fucking up my blur when my focus when I move my hand around. There's a whole base of YouTubers that have build their following on being negative about everything, just shitting on everything that the MCU does and hating on it and saying, oh, you know, oh, there's a female superhero and, oh, you know, feminism, blah, 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 wokeness, rah, rah, rah. You know, first of all, that kind of goes out the window with Jennifer Walters, who is She-Hulk to begin with. I should have looked it up to see who is playing the She-Hulk. I don't know it off the tip of my tongue. She did a fantastic job. And She-Hulk, where I was going with that, is a character that's been around since like what, the 70s? And Jennifer Walters, you know, she's an OG. She was an Avenger at one point in time. She was even in the Fantastic Four for a little bit. So to say that she's just, you know, just added to be more wokeness for the MCU, right? The MCU agenda for Phase 4. People just want to find things to bitch about. They want to bitch for the sake of bitching. I didn't see any agenda pushing in this. What I did see was this was a female show. So, and that could be taken as man-hating or feminist or whatever. But I'm sorry. If you are a dude into dude shit, you're not going to like a show about chicks doing chick shit, right? This is a woman who I feel like maybe divorced. She puts off that vibe of like just kind of like being done with men. And, you know, I've dated these women, so I very much understand this type of person. They exist. You know, so she's out there as an independent woman doing her thing. And it's not like, you know, she's a lawyer and everything, and she's sassy, she's got an attitude, but she did in the comics. I just think, you know what, like, this isn't like marketed to dudes, and I think that's a greater, more of the grander scope of the MCU in Phase 4. I think a lot of people talk about how the Phase 4 doesn't seem as focused, and they're just dropping all kinds of shit. And I think partly because they're building up to Secret Wars now, obviously, which is going to be everybody and their mom. So they need, you know, more characters, more star power. They need to up the ante from Infinity War and Endgame. They also they're fleshing out the MCU. They're bringing in all these other characters, and by doing that, they're also aiming to bring in other audiences, especially with Disney Plus. They don't want Disney. They already have like all the Star Wars shit, which is mostly going to be dude nerds. And, you know, I'm sure there's plenty of females and in betweens that will be fans of Star Wars too, but I would venture to say for the most part, comic book nerds, Star Wars nerds, nerds of our type tend to be fat, male, balding, in their mom's basements, eating Cheetos, rarely getting laid, that sort of thing. With the occasional smaller audience of female. I think the MCU is looking to expand that. I think the Phase 4 is really targeted not just needing all these characters for like a Secret Wars size event, but also they're trying to broaden their audience and appeal to other people that might be on the Disney Plus platform. I mean, all this female content, they are either have a underserved female demographic on the Disney Plus, which Disney Plus surpassed Netflix at this point for subscribers. So it's definitely females as much as males and everything in between, I'm sure. But it's also these comic book characters, this comic book world, the MCU up until Phase 4 was really underserved to that fan base, to that audience, which was fine for the movie going and that sort of thing, because dudes are going to bring their girlfriends and everything else anyway, even if it's not the girls' night out. But now they want Disney Plus to have the content that can be a girls' night in, for example, like they want these shows that their female audience can tune into and find something that they like. The dudes, I love fucking Winter Soldier movie, and like Civil War and Bang Pow Boom and all that stuff. And, there's going to be quite a few people, I would venture to say, that are going to want to watch shows like She-Hulk. That show, just that lawyer, the sassy, the smart, sassy, sexy, independent woman type show where she's in the business world interacting with people and all that stuff. That's a show concept already. They're just putting it in the MCU with MCU characters. And to me, it works great. Like I said, it's not my thing. I think that's where you're going to find your hate for it. If you are a male and you're finding it to be too much of an MCU thing, I think you're just looking at it wrong. It's hard to say where I'd rank it with the other MCU shows at this point. I don't really think it's just fun. I don't know. It's not significant to the MCU, at least not yet. There hasn't been anything that's like, oh my God, you need to see this to... other than just be aware that there's a she, and they don't really tell much of a story about how she became the She-Hulk. It's like they got in a car accident and Hulk bled and she bled, and she was riding with Bruce and they both bled and somehow it got mixed up and fucking double juiced and bing bang boom, she turns green and Hulk tries to train her and she knows how to do everything already because she's just better. And then, again, I thought that was something that would kind of come off as like anything a man can do, a woman could do better. And you could take it that way, but it didn't play off that way. And it was almost like kind of explained with that, just the way her genes reacted or whatever with it. Plus, she says she's just more used to stress. She kind of goes on a tangent about that, is what it is, it's just a fun little comedy show. That's how I see it, as a comedy. It's going to be a courtroom, a law show that's going to be probably, it's just going to be funny and goofy and character heavy and just ridiculousness. I'm sure a lot of fourth wall breaking, a lot of self-referential silliness, but overall, it's fine. I don't see the She-Hulk as this big, intrusive MCU fucking man-hating monster. I see it as just another character from the MCU's past that is being brought in to expand this universe and really expand the audience. And that doesn't mean that it has to be for you every time, just a bunch of swinging dicks and stuff. And I think it's okay to expand the universe. I think you got to be careful with it, and you got to draw the line at some point. Captain Marvel got a lot of hate, right? Nobody likes Brie Larson. They still don't like Brie Larson, right? She's a pretty hateable person, and there was a lot of rumor that with Captain America and Iron Man out of the picture, that now fucking Brie Larson's gonna be the face of the MCU, and everybody's just, and then they announce all these female-led shows and that kind of stuff. And everybody's like, whoa, 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 slow your roll. Hold on. What are you doing? People were kind of terrified that it was going to revolve around her necessarily. That would be a kind of a bad thing. But overall, you got to take these shows one show at a time. WandaVision was dope as fuck. I'm a fan of Wanda as a character, and they told a great story and did great television with that fucking unique, groundbreaking television, in my opinion, with that show. Miss Marvel, I like Kamala Khan. You could come up with all your different woke directions you want to go with that. They're trying to be culturally diverse. They're trying to be female heavy. But those aren't bad things. You're just making them bad things. It doesn't, as long as they're still telling great stories and they're doing great shit, you know what I mean? As long as the content doesn't suck. And so far, like, overall, the content doesn't suck. How can you hate on Kamala Khan as a character? Like, literally, what is there to, it's a girl. She's a awkward fucking little teenager, the same things that made Spider-Man cool. Peter Parker, what was so cool about him? It wasn't the spider gimmick, is what I'm saying. It was that Peter is awkward. And he's a dorky teenager, and he goes through the same teenagery things that everybody else goes through, or at least knows somebody that went through. They can relate to some extent. You can relate to Kamala Khan too, just the same, whether you want to or not. Plus, she's a nerd and she's a mark for the MCU. She's us, and she's a mark for the MCU in real life too. Like, if you ever watch an interview with her, she talks like she was a fan who won a fucking contest, from the internet. Send in your fucking raffle ticket and you can win a chance to be fucking Miss Marvel. That's almost, she is Miss Marvel. So I think that's, in a bubble, that show is great. She-Hulk, like I said, it's not going to set the world on fire. It's not a game changer, but it's a good solid little half hour. It's well written. The CGI is bad. That's one of the bad things I can say about it. The CGI, it looks like a cartoon at times. They certainly, either didn't have it in the budget to finish or just didn't have the time to finish or care to, because it's on Disney Plus. I would venture to say it's the first one, the budget. Worth a watch if you're not completely offended that there can be women as superheroes in the MCU. Open up your mind a little bit and kick back and enjoy a half hour of just mindlessness in the MCU world. That's exactly what this is. Go check that shit out on Disney Plus. Follow me, like me, subscribe to me at Seth Grimes Media on TikTok, Facebook, and Twitter. And you can hit the little subscribe ski button down below somewhere there. And that's all I got for you here today. Peace, love, and pizza. I am your boy, Seth Grimes, and we'll catch you in the next review. Grrr.